Morning. Yes, recently the sheriff of Butler County, which is just north of Cincinnati there, held a news conference, and it's been shown nationally. He's been on numerous talk shows because he spoke about the growing threat of terrorism across the United States and how his county is responding and preparing to such threats in his community. Since that time, we at the Lake County Sheriff's Office received numerous calls, emails, inquiry by our citizens in our community asking if we saw the video and also if we could respond to how we're doing similar preparations. Chief Deputy Robert Izzo, my partner in crime at the Lake County Sheriff's Office, and I attended the same national conference, the National Sheriff's Association Conference in Washington in February. In fact, we went with our partners in Geauga County, Sheriff Scott Hildebrand and his Chief Deputy Thomas Rowan. We shared the same concerns. Here's some of the things that we learned. We met with the National Sheriff's Association Border Committee. This is made up of the southern border sheriffs for the most part. And those southern border sheriffs emphasize that all states in the United States, all counties in the United States are now border counties. Why? They explain that the majority of people coming across our southern border illegally today are single males of military age. They come from 147 different countries. We have no idea where they are in the United States. During this open border, over 8 million people have come across the border that have checked in. Every estimate says 2 million gotaways, people who have come across our border, and we have no idea where they're at in the United States. It was noted by the Border Patrol that their resources have been diverted from the northern border down to the southern border. Pretty much our northern border is wide open. And they say that is now the growing spot across the United States, which many people are beginning to illegally enter into the United States. These are not law-abiding citizens looking for a better life. These are criminals. For instance, in the Tucson sector, which is 78 miles, when I was there at the southern border, the Cochise County Sheriff's Office said this is the sector where all criminals come across. These are people they don't want to come through those checkpoints. They reflected a belief that the unknown gotaways may be linked to many terrorist organizations across the world. And the concern is we have no idea where they're at on our border. At the conference, we met in a closed-door session with representatives from the Israeli Defense Forces, the IDF. They detailed just to law enforcement in a closed-door session specifically about the attacks on October 7th. They showed us about a 45-minute video of unedited video from Hamas terrorists, wore body cameras, from dash cams in vehicles, and from films inside some of the houses in Israel. To me, it was the most horrific footage that I have ever witnessed. Civilians were slaughtered, adults and children were beheaded, shot in their cribs, young girls were raped and tortured, people were burned alive. Those are just a few images that are imprinted on my mind. As well, we heard actual conversations from Hamas terrorists where they took the cell phones and called back to their friends and families and raved. One young man was saying, "Mom, Dad, I've killed over 10 Israelis. I'm a hero." And you hear in the background his mother saying, "Kill them all, kill them all." The IDF explained in interviews that they conducted with the terrorists that the terrorists said they hate Americans just as much as they hate Israelis. And more concerning, they said we're in the United States. And we're going to carry out similar attacks in the United States. In every meeting that we attended, whether that was with the Speaker of the House of Representatives, to the Governmental Affairs Committees, to Homeland Security, it was emphasized at every one of those meetings that deputy sheriffs and police officers on the streets in the United States are the first and only line of defense against these attacks. The IDF explained, and this is the military, said we did not respond to these attacks for 6 to 8 hours on October 7th. It was the police officers on the street with a handgun that held off Hamas. They said, to give you some idea, 1,400 Israelis were killed. To give you some comparison, if you compared that with the population of the United States, 52,000 Americans would have died that day. They said American law enforcement needs to be trained to think differently, to think terrorism first, and need to be physically equipped to respond to similar attacks. FBI Director Christopher Wray in October made a statement to the Senate Homeland Security Committee, and here's what he said. Here in the United States, our most immediate concern is violent extremists and individuals in small groups. They will draw inspiration from the events in the Middle East to carry out attacks against Americans going about their daily lives. Hamas or another foreign terrorist organization may conduct attacks here on our own soil. What I'm here today, what we heard clearly in Washington D.C. is it's not a matter if such attacks will come, it's when they will come. So in response to our citizens, what are we doing here in Lake County? Fortunately, we at the Lake County Sheriff's Office, as well as our policing partners throughout Lake County, in every city, have been training our deputies and our police officers to be prepared for the significant threats to our communities that are being realized today. This includes equipping our deputies with modern weaponry and increased ammunition for extended attacks. One of the things that the IDF said, our police officers had limited magazines for their handguns, and they quickly ran out of ammunition. We need to think differently, they said. We need protective gear, provide critical training. We have a SWAT team here in Lake County. It's the first SWAT team in Ohio, established in the 1970s. It now includes members of the Geauga County and Ashtabula County Sheriff's Offices, police departments from across our area that include Painesville City, Madison Township, Chesterland, Middlefield, just to name a few. Monthly training and real-time missions have been prepared, and they prepare them to be one of the best skilled response teams in Ohio. In a crisis, they can respond to assist throughout Lake County, Geauga County, and Ashtabula County. In 2023, with the assistance of the Lake County Commissioners, we completed a renovation to our range that now includes not only a live range, but classrooms that provide in-house training and bring in outside web-based training from all over the United States. It is now equipped with computer technology, where every officer from across Lake County, every police department in Lake County, can enter a video environment and be confronted by multiple scenarios where they are confronted with various threats, make split-second decisions, and shoot or don't shoot scenarios. Further, the new training facility is equipped with a simulations building where officers move through a changing walled environment to experience changing situations and threats. For years, the Lake County Sheriff's Office has participated in the Northern Border Initiative, working with our Border Patrol to be proactive in finding threats to our security along the northern border. That has changed. Today, that program is known as Operation Stone Garden. By our participation, we received federal funding to pay our skilled deputies to work with the Border Patrol to conduct drug interdiction, combat human trafficking across the Interstates 90 and State Route 2 in the communities in their paths. This detail also works to identify Mexican cartel operatives and other terror threats to our Lake County communities. In this process, we have been joined by local police departments from Lake County who participate in Operation Stone Garden. I'm proud to say that our Stone Garden work is one of the most active and highest producing in the United States. Today, we are changing our mindset to think terrorism first. In Washington, we were given information from throughout the United States that you don't see very often. In Brooks County, Texas, over 953 dead bodies have been found in 1,000 square miles that make up that county, and 7 deputies are there to patrol that county. People who have been hung, shot, killed, or died coming across the border. After 9/11, everyone asked, how do we miss this? Why aren't we seeing the signs? Today, the signs are all around us. And we realize that we as local law enforcement are the first line of defense against terrorism. Whether through cyber attacks on our critical infrastructures, physical attacks on our energy sources and key infrastructures, killing our citizens with fentanyl-laced drugs trafficked across our borders, or persons crossing our borders illegally who mean to do us harm. We as local law enforcement on our streets need to be trained and prepared to respond. We remain proactive in finding such threats before they occur, to interact with our communities on keeping them educated to threats, and working with our legislators to provide adequate funding and create new laws to address these new threats. I'm not up here to spread panic through our community. It's to raise awareness. Today, we face adversaries who want to eliminate us, to eliminate our society. You know, it's a concept. It's a concept outside the imagination of the everyday person in the United States on the streets. Who can't comprehend this barbarism and hate and willingness to create havoc and kill at will. We must think anew and act anew, and never let the safety of our community be taken for granted. Thank you for hearing me this morning, and I appreciate you letting me share that message. Thank you.
Thank you.